Hi y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm the Southern Nerdista. In today's episode of Doctor Who, the Doctor and Rose travel to the past and join forces with Charles Dickens. Yes, that Charles Dickens, to investigate a mysterious plague of zombies. So, previously on Doctor Who, the Doctor has returned and he's picked up a new companion in the process, Rose Tyler. Together they save the Earth and humanity from the living plastic and nesting consciousness. Then they take a trip to the year 5 billion where Rose has to grapple with the impermanence of everything and the Doctor has to contend with his past and being the last of the Time Lords. We've gotten more hints about why the Doctor seems more surly than ever before in our first mention of Bad Wolf. We've also met two characters who will return, in various forms I might add, the Face of Beau and the Lady Cassandra. A couple of notes before we get into this episode. Mark Gatiss, the writer, was initially against having Dickens star in the episode, as usually the Doctor only mentioned meeting historical figures. Simon Callow, who plays Dickens, has played him several other times on television and stage. Alright guys, spoiler warning. Southern Nerdista does give spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, pause the video, go watch, then come back. If you don't care about spoilers, then just carry on, my wayward companions. Okay, so the episode opens in a funeral home. This is the first episode that's opening scene does not include Rose Tyler. The undertaker, Mr. Sneed, gives our mourner a moment alone with his deceased grandmother, Mrs. Peace. Her face turns ghostly white and she kills him. Mr. Sneed tries to contain her. He yells for his maid Gwyneth that they have another one. The reanimated body busts out of the coffin and escapes into the street. After the opening credits, we are back in the TARDIS with the Doctor and Rose as they travel to the past. When they land, Rose runs to the door to get her first glimpse of Naples 1860, but the Doctor stops her, afraid that her modern clothes will cause a riot in the streets. He sends her to change into proper period attire, and we get our first real idea of the size of the TARDIS beyond the console room. The wardrobe is the first left, second right, third left, go straight ahead, under the stairs, past the bins, fifth door on the left. So while Rose changes, we check in on Mr. Sneed and Gwyneth, who are hunting for our walking dead grandmother. Unable to find her, Mr. Sneed demands Gwyneth use the sight, capital S there folks, to find her or he'll fire her. Gwyneth is hesitant because she's a good Christian girl and this conflicts with her deeply held beliefs. But in the end, her need to stay employed outweighs her fears of her psychic ability, something a lot of people can probably relate to. Gwyneth reaches out for our dead lady's mind and finds it's filled with the plans she had before she died. The Doctor and Rose leave the TARDIS only to discover this is not Naples 1860, but Cardiff, Wales, December 24th, 1869. This is a reintroduction of the TARDIS's habit of taking the Doctor to the wrong places, something that had not yet happened in the revived series. Cardiff is important for a few reasons. First, this is where the majority of the show is filmed. But ironically, this episode was not filmed in Cardiff itself because there were not enough Victorian-looking buildings left in the city. It was filmed in Wales, just not Cardiff. This episode is also an early setup for Torchwood, a spin-off show that follows a secret organization founded by the British Crown who fight to protect the Earth from extraterrestrial and supernatural threats. We will actually get to meet Queen Victoria in a future episode that is the catalyst for her to create the Torchwood Institute. Eve Miles, who plays the maid Gwyneth, goes on to play Gwen in the spin-off, and that character will reappear in 2 future episodes of Doctor Who. In all transparency, I haven't watched Torchwood. It is on my list, and I will get to it eventually now that I know the entire series, along with the entire Doctor Who series, is on HBO Max. So, back to our episode. Mr. Sneed and Gwyneth track the corpse to Charles Dickens' show, but they are too late, and the other spectators flee the theater in terror. The screams of the crowd draw the attention of the Doctor. While he investigates, Rose finds the old lady dead and suspects that the undertaker and his maid are responsible. Panicked about what to do with Rose, Mr. Sneed knocks her out and throws her into the back of the hearse along with Mrs. Peace. The Doctor steals a carriage to give chase. And lo and behold, who does it belong to but our favorite Victorian author? Dickens is not a happy camper and wants him removed at once until he hears the Doctor gushing about his books. Who doesn't like a little bit of flattery? Or in this case, a lot. Rose wakes up in another locked room with 2 dead bodies, the lady and her grandson, who get out of their coffins and advance on her. In my opinion, if Rose is going to keep getting trapped in rooms, lockpicking is definitely a skill she might want to look into. The Doctor and Dickens hear Rose calling for help and they push past Gwyneth into the house. They manage to save her before the undead can add one more to their ranks. Ghostly voices beg for help before exiting their host bodies with an unearthly shriek. Dickens insists this is all an illusion and goes around the house trying to prove it. Rose has a chat with Gwyneth in the pantry, and it appears the two ladies have a lot in common even though they come from different times and places. Gwyneth mentions Rose's dad is dead, something she shouldn't know, and then it's as if she sees into Rose's mind, seeing what Rose has seen and what is to come. We get our second mention of Bad Wolf in as many episodes, and now we know somehow Rose is involved. The Doctor has put together that Gwyneth's gift is tied into this rift in time and space that runs through Cardiff. They hold a seance with the Gelth to figure out what they want and how to help them. The Gelth appear, explaining that they lost their world and bodies as a result of the Time War. This is the first time the war is given a name, but it's the same war that wiped out all of the Time Lords, except the Doctor. The Gelth beg for help again, and the seance is over. Rose and the Doctor disagree about letting the Gelth use the dead to survive and using Gwyneth to open the rift to let them through. Rose believes it's improper and disrespectful to let them use the bodies and too dangerous for Gwyneth. The Doctor argues the corpses aren't being used and this could potentially save them. Personally, I come down on the side of the Doctor, but I would love to know what you think in the comments. Gwyneth wants to help the Gelth and becomes the bridge between their world and ours, but it was all a trick. The Gelth are not the gentle creatures we were led to believe. Their intention was to take over humans. Shocking, I know. Rose and the Doctor are trapped in the morgue while Dickens runs away. But ultimately, Dickens does come back and he helps save them. He realizes the Gelth are gas creatures and can be drawn out of their hosts through the gas lights in the house. Gwyneth can't leave the rift, and yet another character sacrifices themselves for the greater good. The Doctor understands that Gwyneth had most likely been dead since the moment she stepped foot in the arch. Rose is moved by her sacrifice. This servant girl saved the world and nobody will ever know. Dickens says he plans to go home to make amends with his family. He asks the final question about the endurance of his books, and with a grin, the Doctor tells him his books will last forever. The Doctor and Rose disappear with the TARDIS, and Dickens walks away laughing. And that's the end of the episode. So for me, this episode is a hit. Don't ask me why, because I can't put a finger on what it is I like about the episode. Maybe it's Callow's portrayal of Dickens at the end of his life. He does a fantastic job. Maybe it's the Doctor and Rose finally slipping into a more easygoing relationship. Or maybe I'm just always drawn to episodes that build the world around them and beyond. It's one of the reasons I love the MCU so much. Next time on Doctor Who, we have a 2-part episode. The Doctor returns Rose to her own time, sort of, but just in time for a spaceship to crash into the Thames River. Thanks for watching, y'all, and if you liked the episode, check out my other videos and hit that subscribe button below. And remember, you don't have to be an expert to be a fan. Bye, guys.